So I've started recording, and welcome to the second session, the prep session for the CDK Home 7. Now this is number 7. That's the December 1 through 14th build. And let's continue on the documentation, the CAD file. So today what I want to do is yesterday, just to review, we downloaded the file. If you haven't done that, please do so. Who here has already downloaded the file and been able to view it and do the things we talked about yesterday? Yeah, that's good. That's good. So most of you, looks like. We're going to continue with the file. So as far as extracting build procedures, this is called CDK Home 7. And I started a page on the wiki, so you can refer, like, all the documentation for the build itself is going to be on the SH7 page. So if you go to the wiki, I'm going to paste the link. It's a placeholder. You see it's mostly blank, but here it is. That's CDK Home 7. Now, in it already you've got some useful links, like for example the CAD. So just now, please actually download this new version. So we're still updating a few things. And let me share my screen so people can take a look at it. That'll be better. Sharing the screen. So if you look at the CDK Home 7 page, there's just a placeholder on the wiki. The CAD file, the blue stuff, that's links that already exist. And can everybody see my screen? Am I sharing? We're good? Okay. So already you can see some useful things in this template. So the wiki is where all the information is. Click on the 3D CAD. Please download the latest one. So we just updated to add things such as the kitchen and a few other details, which now look like in the new file. I don't think you've seen the kitchen inside, but that's what the kitchen is going to look like. And as far as the main cabin, it's just placeholders. But what I want to do is start talking actually about the build workflow. And that is that this, as I mentioned last time, the structure is made out of 3 main sections. Okay, 3 sections called the family room. They're all 12 by 20. That's the kitchen section. That's the bed and bath section. Because we have so many people, we can break down into 3 teams to do these things all at the same time. But what I want to do is take a look at just one section. So this is 1/3 of the house. We can build this in parallel. But what I want to do is show you how we actually just start talking about the details of what's there, so that we can get oriented first, and then hopefully you guys can contribute to documentation. But in this entire build, so you've got, so let's just walk through this one by one. So you start with the floor. So let's talk about the floor for a second. The floor is now made of a frame. So let's look at what the actual platform for the floor looks like. This is the subfloor where it's going to get the finished floor. This is 1/6. There's 2 of these sections. There's a frame. There's another frame. There's bottom sheeting on it, and there's top sheeting, and this actually gets insulation on the inside. So that's the build of the floor. We go to the next one, and what you see here already is I've numbered these things. So the file that you're going to download doesn't have the numbers, but as I mentioned last time, we can number things to reveal build procedures. Okay. After the floor, we're going to get to the walls. So we've got the floor here. We show that walls, a bunch of walls. You can go into the detail and look at all the different walls. That's the build order. Walls go after the floor. So what we'll do is build the floor modules, but build the wall modules all in parallel. So there's actually 46 wall modules. And let me show you that. So I actually started this one doc, but 46 modules, and they're all numbered, so we can actually keep track of them. We have blueprints for each one of them, and we can do this all in parallel. And that's first day. Like we'll get all the floor, the walls done. I mean, it's going to only take a few hours, maybe 2 hours or so, or maybe depends. But last time it took us, by day one, we actually finished all the wall modules outside of like a couple, and that was only with like 10 or 12 people working on them. So in this doc, we're calling this the build book. So I'd actually like to invite you, and this document here is editable, so you can actually go in this. Let me paste the link. If I see, you're welcome to actually join inside the document, because what you can do is we can do collaborative editing. Anyone can actually edit that. So what I'd like to do is eventually, as we go forward, so anyone with a link can edit this doc. So you can pop in. We can create new slides. So slide, for example, new slide, or just what I like to do is duplicate slide. So you just have another one. But for example, here, if we're doing the documentation for the build book, we would take wall by wall, and we would do a technical drawing, provide all the information that somebody needs to build it. So I'm gonna do this here. Get rid of that. We can, within FreeCAD, you can take, as the simplest level of build instructional, you can just take, okay, if that's wall module 1, that's actually, this is how we mapped it out here. So this is one of the house sections. That's actually module 1 in the house. So you can orient yourself. If you take a look at that, let's see, I'm gonna go close some of my tabs here. So I'm going to switch between the build book and the meeting and the FreeCAD. So you can spin this around in FreeCAD, but when you go into the document, the work doc has this as a static shot, and this was extracted right from FreeCAD to just take a screenshot hiding all the necessary parts. So wall 1 right there. So that's what we were looking at, and we can, as the simplest way to document this, we can go straight into, if we're in FreeCAD, we would take, so this is the walls, left walls. So this one, that one right there, that's the wall number 1. So you can, for example, hide everything else. Hide the floor. You got wall 1 right there. How simple. It's just a very simple module. It's 4 by 9 feet. As the simplest instructional, you can say, oh wow, I got that. Let me copy and paste. So screen capture, take it into the document, and paste it. Okay, you got module 1. We're ready for instructions. You can add annotations and everything. So I'd like to see if anybody can actually contribute to this. And here we could say, okay, if this is wall module 1, build instructions. Build instructions. So we can go through this process collaboratively. Now, I want to just go through a little more of the FreeCAD file to, so you've got floor and walls. Let's actually talk about, so it's kind of hard for me to talk and do this at the same time, but I'm trying. So floor, walls, that's how it looks. The floors, the walls go right on the floor. Now we build the walls with the sheathing actually, so all the sheathing outside of this top stuff, which we add later. But we build the sheathing right at the module level. So for example, module 1 is going to have the framing and the sheathing. Bam. Okay. Now top plates. What are top plates? So this is what bonds all the walls together. Top plate. So you see the, this is actually a double top plate as required by code, actually. So we're putting this top plate, as you see, it bonds all the walls together. It makes them more straight. It's structural. Then you go into the roof, and the roof is a whole assembly. So let's actually discuss that for a little bit. This is what we'll build. You'll see the roof structure up to the photovoltaics runners. So these runners on top are where we attach the photovoltaics at the end. So let me hide everything else and go through the roof, and then through the roof. Lots of parts there. So let's basically go through all of that by first hiding everything and then starting with the first part. So you've got trusses on top of the walls to start with. Well, these are the trusses that we built last time. There's 7 of them. And here, that's the assembly. Tapers, rim, runner ties. Oh, no, that's later. On top of that is decking. So you got the whole deck. The insulation goes on top of the deck. So this roof is actually insulated with rigid foam insulation, as well as insulation in between the joists here, so that we get up to about R50. But that's required. This top layer of insulation, rigid foam, is required so that you don't have condensation on the underside of the roof, and that's what it's for. Then we've got more parts. There's a rim to it. Box. There's a box that captures all this. You see there's a slight slope, and that's for rain. This is called a flat roof, but there's no such thing as a flat roof. There's always some kind of a slope because you got to get the water out of the off the roof. So there you go. There is the roof membrane. Okay, so that's a membrane that goes on top, and we're using fiber reinforced polyethylene 30 mil. That's one option we can choose. There's, yeah, pretty much that's the roof. It's quite a structure. And what we're gonna do in a, let me stop sharing for a second and maybe start with some questions. But stop sharing. So during the workshop, we'll divide into 3 teams, build all the different modules, and lay out as much, like all the workstations for everything to happen in parallel as much as possible. So that's the basic workflow. 3 teams, each team gets a 12 by 20 section, and that way it's like, if you think about that part as well, there's three pieces of the 720 square foot house. If each one of them is 240 square feet, I mean, it's really, you've just tripled your rate of building everything because you got 3 teams. So that's part of that whole build method. So, yeah. Any questions at this point?
Yeah, how do you select each individual piece of lumber and get the dimensions like last time? Because some of these
Yeah.
in the hierarchy don't break down
Ah.
down to the lumber. Yeah.
Like for example, okay, good question. So if we take, so let's start with you're probably talking about the walls. Is that so?
Anything. anything. Like I just want to see. I want to choose anything that I want and to see what the dimensions are, so I know how to cut that. I know what to get. What are the materials I need?
Yeah. So let me show you about that, and let's troubleshoot that if it's not there. So if the part is a unit and you can't break it down, we have more files. So let's talk about where those files are. What happened to my assembly right here? You guys can see it? Can see my screen?
No.
Oh, tells me I can't share my screen again. Let me see if I could open up another browser to join this thing from another browser and share my screen there. No, gotta fix this issue. Yeah, let me see. Let me see if I can. My video. No. Can I share my screen? Same thing. Or let's see. Let's see. Screen one. Okay. Is it working? Can I actually?
Yeah, now it's sharing.
Okay. That's a little better. Okay. So say we go into the walls. Okay, so let's take one wall, such as for example, let's hide the roof. Let's take one of these and
Hey,
let.
Ina or Enna. Oh, I don't think she can hear me.
Okay, so here
I
we
can hear
got.
you. It's my
All
iPhone.
right. Hey, I was calling to see where are you at that it's so cold you got that heavy jacket on?
Oh, I'm in New York.
Oh, what's the temperatures there?
Like, it's 56, I think.
It's what?
It's like 56, but it's going to get colder.
Okay, so
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought, man, where is she at?
okay,
All right, have a good night.
so okay, so measurements. I'm for example the
What
wall.
temperatures are going to be when we're over there?
Sorry, say it again.
Yeah, and I want to ask, is there a cell phone signal out that way? Are there cell phone signals?
Yeah, you should be able. You're talking about once you get here.
Where are we building the house again?
Marysville,
Maysville,
Missouri.
Missouri. Maysville, Missouri.
It's near the border.
Can you guys can hear me? Can you guys hear me? Uh, sorry, can. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Okay, okay.
Yep.
I think I gotta. And can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, frustrating. So let's go back to the CAD file. So let's look at the distance. So Richard, you're saying you can't get distances. So let's see, can we do it? If I select this edge, for example, I'm selecting distance. Let's say that one. Is that what you're saying? You're not able to get the distance just like that?
Yeah, I was wondering how we're supposed to do that. Is
Isn't
it
the distance tool from one position to the other, and then it gives you the measurement between the 2 points?
Let's see this.
With the distance, click on one side and then a parallel side.
Yeah.
Anywhere else? Yeah. And
Reset.
then,
One.
I thought it wasn't working, and then it was. Maybe it's okay.
They gave me something there. 3 inches for this particular one.
And then the distance free just doesn't restrict you to the
Yeah.
parallel sides.
Okay, so for example, here to there. Yeah, it's doing it. It's working right now. So distance. So for example, if you want to get the distance from the bottom to the top, let's say if you can select the two parallels. Okay, like for example, there to the bottom, so you can get the distance of those studs. Not seeing it happen. How about try again? Okay, and that gives me the different units, so I'm gonna try that. So yeah, it's Richard. Has that worked for you, or that's not? It's more or less working for me here. My computer is being slow, but yeah, it gave. If I reset that, like just to reset that one, say I want to measure from the top of the module to the very bottom. Yeah, I mean, it did give me that distance. So, and Richard, so you're saying that this is when you select distance and say click on the parallel lines, that's not working for you?
no, I'm seeing. I didn't know that's how we were supposed to do it. So that's how we're supposed to get the dimensions on things. So yeah, I'm getting it now.
That's
That's how we're going to figure out what is it that we need for each part, right?
yeah, and we can do the technical drawings as well. So we can do various ways to do this. Here's the right within CAD. When you're viewing it within CAD, you can get those kinds of measurements. But I think the point to mention is play with FreeCAD and make sure you can replicate steps like exactly what I'm doing here. Like if you want to get a distance, mode distance, reset between, but you can select two parallel locations. That's quite useful. That can cover a lot. Like in this drawing itself here, every single part of this can be obtained by getting a parallel distance between 2 points. So for example, you're asking, well, what is this lumber here? So if I take the distance, I reset that, so I take the distance between this point, this line, and this line, and yeah, it is showing 5.5. So that part at least does work.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
do
So
play
from
with
edge
it,
to
like
edge.
yeah, edge to edge. At least I'm not sure what you would need where that won't suffice. There might be some weird things like say a diagonal. You maybe not be able to measure a diagonal, but there will probably be something else here. Like I would expect distance between 2 points. Okay, so let's logic it out. If I actually select the points, that should also get me the distance. So I'm now I see it. I clicked on that point, and then this point, yes. So that worked
Gotcha.
too. Now let's see if that actually allows you to extract a diagonal. So on that, say this is like the whole floor, entire house, and we want to measure the diagonal. So you check whether the thing is actually square. So let's see if we can do that. So I'm going to select this point and the opposite point. Yeah, it seems like it worked. 5 inches and 3/4. So
Like measure twice, cut once, kind of a thing.
yeah, 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 that's true. So we'll have a number of the technical drawings. For example, just to show you what the technical drawings that we already have in CDK Home 6, we did build instructions where we have all the wall modules. So for example, wall module 14. Okay, that's what it looks like. That's the kind of stuff we can extract. Now this was done within FreeCAD 16, the older version, which is super easy to do. And there's a little bit of a learning curve for FreeCAD 1 or the higher anything above FreeCAD 16. Now we are going to go over that before, not today, but let's save that for another day. I personally haven't used FreeCAD 1. Everything up to this point was FreeCAD 16 until we're finding out that it's crashing on us because it's too old a version, but it is very easy to use. Okay, with that said, any other questions at this point?
Is there internet service? Or sorry, is there cell phone service at Marysville? And what's the weather going to be like? Maysville, sorry.
Maysville, Missouri. So we're weather independent because it's going to be cold. It's winter, right? So it's going to be getting into above freezing or freezing weather in a day. But we're working inside a large hangar, so it's going to be heated. So we're free from the weather. That's a good thing.
Hey, Marcin, before you shut your screen down, I have a question.
Yeah. No, go ahead. We're continuing for a bit.
I'd say this is more for Richard. If you could show him on the CAD, unless you already have, how to get the thickness of your headers, what material you're going to be using for the thickness of the header. You know, you have your 2x6s. What are you going to use for the infill?
Yeah, I mean, you can get that. So if we look at the file, we're talking about the
Did
header.
you follow that, Richard?
I'm not sure what you mean by infill.
So the door structures are made like this, where there's side framing, there's this header, this part right here, the wood that I'm pointing to, which bears the loads. It's a load-bearing header, so that's why it's vertical on edge like that to support all the weight of the roof above it. Now, in our case, for example, I believe that's a 2x12 piece of lumber. So let's just verify that. Once again, I'm going to take this line here, click on that, and the second line. Yeah. So a 2x12 happens to be 11 1/4 inches. So lumber that's called 12-inch lumber is actually 11 1/4 inches. So yes, that is correct right there. So that answers that question. So let me go back.
All right, hey, Marcin, all right, that's the height, but the thickness, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, the thickness of your 2x12 is 1.5 inches, but yet you got to make up 5.5 inches. So let him see where on that CAD thing that you're talking about, how to get to that thickness.
Okay, so now you want to look at things such as a transparent view within CAD. So here, if you click on an object, you right click, and you can do toggle transparency. Oh, so that's one way to do it. But if you look inside, so let me reset that. So this actually made a transparent version of this, so you can see that, for example, this header, there's a space in between, and then there's the 2x12 and a 2x12 on the other side. Now, we didn't talk yet about the individual parts of these files. Yes, they are there in another file. So let's go to that file. So if we go back to CDK Home 7, go to the CAD. Actually, this not sure if it's going to be under. Let's go back to 6. You can typically reference Seek a Home 6 for any stuff that's there already. On the CAD, on the drive, so this is for 6, and we're just creating this for version 7. So here you have parts, wall modules. Okay, so I would go to the wall modules, and here we have wall by wall, every single one. So for example, this door module, you have them all here. So now you want to maybe download one of those. So download, and in these files, all the individual members are there. What happened with the master file is we took all those and turned it into a compound. So I just downloaded this one, and I'm going to open that up. So what do we get? So now I've got, actually that's another module, but here what we have is now you have the individual pieces of this whole wall module. So now you can go into the hiding and unhiding part game again. So here, in these files, there's actually two things. One is a copy, which is just one object, and the other one is a folder with all the parts. So I'm going to hide that one. So now you can actually start hiding and unhiding parts here. Does that make sense? So that's the answer to that. So if you want to go into, like say you want to do a build instructional, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to start with the outer frame and then put in this piece, this other, and so forth. So you can generate instructions or out of these individual files, which have, in this, it's got a dozen or so parts in this particular file itself. So that's important to know. And we have this down basically for any object that we have within a CAD. If you can't find it in a main CAD, it'll be in another folder under parts or somewhere else. So that's where that will be.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you. That'd be good to have open while working on each module at a time,
Yeah.
to really zoom in.
So by the time of the workshop, we'll see how much of the build details we actually simply print out by screenshots and measurements, or using the actual technical drawing workbench where you put in all the dimensions automatically. Now, eventually, because FreeCAD is open source, like we can automate all this stuff, and we're not there yet. But if you're a programmer in Python, you can basically you can parse the whole file and spit out your say build instructions automatically. I mean, that's something for the future and so forth. So there's a lot you can do with FreeCAD. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Okay.
Hey, Marcin.
Yeah.
I'm on the live USB,
Yeah.
which has FreeCAD 16 and 18.
Yeah.
Would you recommend installing FreeCAD 1 also?
So yes, I would. It's actually simply because, like, if there's a workstation there that's got FreeCAD 1, you want to have all of them. It's not a problem to have all of them on your computer. Now, if you have FreeCAD 16, is that on the computer that you're using right now? No.
Yeah, I'm booted into the flash drive, like the OSC Linux.
Which version is it? 2 or 3?
I think it's 2.
So on your computer right now, do you have FreeCAD 16 working? Can you?
Yes. I have
Okay.
16 and 18.
Oh wow! Now that's really good. So for FreeCAD 16, the tech drawing workbench is super easy to use. So you can actually, what I would suggest in the case that you can actually get FreeCAD 16 to run, you can generate all the technical drawings there, and ideally you can collaborate and just do some of that for the event. The idea is that within the build book itself, I just started it, but I mean that the printout that everyone should have for the workshop, it's like here's the book, every single part, But it's going to be like 1,000 pages, because there's so much detail in there. But in principle, we could do that, but probably just do it, view that on your computer instead of printing out all those pages. So, who, as far as build experience, so we know, for example, Roy, I know you've got a lot of build skill. Who here has various build skills that anybody would be interested in leading, actually, like, or providing leadership on any of the parts of the build? So I know Roy's got a lot. Anyone else have done something that they could share with the crew?
Done a lot of reno work, tiling, plumbing, welding, electrical work.
Okay.
Cut into concrete before to do plumbing. Pretty much a bit of everything.
Yeah. That's definitely useful. So maybe before the workshop, I mean, in one of the sessions in the future, we'll try to allocate roles to all the different people. We'll allocate roles so you can select like the key modules you want to build. You can get a chance to jump around and build any of the ones, but of course, an entire workshop, you're not going to be able to build everything, so you can pick and choose, and we encourage people to pretty much select, okay, if you want to do this particular thing, put your name on it. So how are we going to allocate roles at the end of the day? So I'm going to share my screen here. In this doc itself, I made this little icon, but I would say when we're actually doing this and keeping track of everything, we can put, like, for example, say this is the instructional. I will take my icon, like, say we've got now the 50 wall modules. We can coordinate. It helps to coordinate digitally too. If, like, for example, I could say, I'm gonna say I'm building this, so I'll put my name on it, and it's just another way to organize. But in the workshop, what we'll do is once we have all the different blueprints, we can allocate that by just simply putting our names on it. So if you like, do this little thing yourself. All I did was that's the original icon there, but all I did was like just make a box, put my name in it. So if you can do that, that would actually help to coordinate. So feel free to do it, and people feel free to edit that. It's actually made up of of a bunch of parts. You can feel free to put your name in there. Yeah. I'm gonna just go back to the original email. Just get some bearings on what we wanted to cover. Anything else we want to cover? But do download the latest file, because we made some of the changes, so keep doing that. Before the workshop itself, you probably you can download the very, very latest, because we'll make little changes here and there, maybe like adding different features and everything. But feel free to generate any kind of materials using this kind of process. Like in the documents, you can just start a page for yourself and say, okay, here's some notes. Feel free to use this document to do so, and then if you actually spend time documenting, it can help others, because there's just so much information in there, and it's about the quality of information. You can take something, do like a first cut version of documentation, then you can just keep improving it until you get a really, really high quality material. Let me see what else I want to cover today. Make sure we get that.
Got some higher level overview type questions.
Yeah,
I recall you mentioned there was a remote version of this thing for people who couldn't attend.
Yeah, there is.
What is that exactly, and could I invite others to it? What's the deal with that one? And are you doing the same thing for the 4-year longer version of this thing?
Yeah, so for the remote version, it's people who cannot make it on site. We're presenting the theory. There's about 14 or so theory sessions, so at least one per day. And every day we're gonna go through the actual build for the day. So we'll publish that as well as the theory session, and all those theory sessions are at the event description. So talking about the big picture, here's solving housing, here's how you do rapid builds and all the different things, utility systems, innovation in housing, like all of that, focusing around how you transform the housing industry to something better. So if somebody signs up for it, we're actually charging for that. People sign up, pay $200 to actually participate in it and ask questions during it. But it's also free. It's published right after the live session. It's published just like we publish all our videos. But the online participation thing is where you can ask questions, and that you can sign up for by actually registering. Otherwise, you just look at it on YouTube. For the 4-year program, we're going to publish certain things, but a lot of it is going to be the day to day. So I mean, we don't have a remote version. The only kind of a remote version for the 4-year program is really the enterprise track. For example, one person who's a farmer in Mexico is signed up for the program to improve their farming operation with open source equipment and other things. So I actually publish all those sessions on videos as well. So that's the remote participation where a person can come in on site for all our workshops, but they've got their own project that they want to optimize or open source and would like to use open source collaborative development on that. So that's the remote version of the apprenticeship. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I believe so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So hi. So I'm going to be staying a bit more. Do you have a little bit more information what that is?
Sorry, what is the question?
I'm going to be staying in the dorm.
Yep.
Do you have a bit more information what that is like?
Yeah, I mean, you can take a look at it. I'll send you a link. HabLab is the structure. But yeah, there's 10 rooms in there, and it's got, some of the rooms are doubles and triples, but yeah, we can fit up to 18 people, and it's tight. I mean, there's only 2 bathrooms and 2 showers in there, so, but that's the situation there. You can take a look at HabLab. We call it HabLab, but that's the structure you can see.
Is that extra to stay in the Hab Lab?
No, it's not. We're providing that for people who are typically for people who are doing the work study, but also we're out of space there. We got 18 people already lined up in there. But you can take a look at more what HabLab looks like. Now we are in the hangar. We're actually planning to build a few more cabins, like basically like 10 by 12 structures where a few more people can live. And also putting in a bathroom facility in the new hangar right now, which is under construction. We're actually putting up the walls and everything. So yeah, that's where we're at. Yeah, I don't know. I don't particularly have anything much more prepared. What I want to make sure is that you guys all can handle the FreeCAD and know where you can download the file, take the measurements, and hide and unhide parts, and order things within the part tree. So one more thing to show you about the FreeCAD. Let me share the screen again. For purpose of organizing your whereabouts within FreeCAD, it's useful to rename the parts. Like, for example, if you download the file, here it's like all these parts and they're not labeled by build order, but you can add that kind of information. So for example, if you want to do an instructional, I would say, okay, cut the top and bottoms first. So what I'm going to do here, if you right click on any item, you can edit, rename. Okay, you can rename that. So now you can say one, the top plate there. So, and then you can continue. Second one is this one. So I'm going to right click on it, rename it to bottom plate. So you can do that within the part tree, and literally once you label everything, the entire file could actually contain the whole build sequence. So that's just one really useful thing that I would encourage you to do. Once you download your version, start labeling it so it's really useful. So ideally you bring your own laptop. We're going to have 6 workstations within the hangar for people to look at CAD, but if you download your own copy, feel free to basically change the naming convention and all that to make it very, very usable for yourself. Now the other thing is, if we go back into the entire assembly, so if you see here, the bottom has tabs. So I was just looking at this door here, and then here's the entire assembly and this other tab, which let's say we open up all the parts to it. I'm going to hide the other one. But in assembly, this is a huge file, and you might get cluttered up in what you're looking at here. So you can Control C, just simply cut and paste and create new files with subsections of the house, so that you have everything organized really well. Because this is really an accounting question. Like I mentioned in this master file, there's 800 parts, and then of course the individual files have a dozen each. So there's literally multiple thousands of parts in this entire document. So you can Control paste anything here. So for example, if you want to just Control C on the floor, okay, Control C on the keyboard, do all, okay, and then File, create a new file. Okay, so now I just open up a new file, and you can just Control V into a new file, and now you can save this. So this, I just copied and pasted the entire floor, so you can play with that here because it already has a whole bunch of parts that we talked about before. And now you can just file save it. So you can basically save yourself a bunch of different versions and parts and subsections to just help you navigate through the whole thing. So that's just another useful aspect of working with FreeCAD. So here you just go File, Save As, whatever you want to save it. Save it. This is my floor file, etc. So that's a useful thing just for organizing, because the idea is that there's so much in the build that it's really about, it's really a mental game. Like if you're going to be able to build an entire house, part of it is the skills. You got tools and you got techniques, but once you have that, it's all about how much of the whole picture you can comprehend in your mind. So doing things like taking notes or playing with the file or saving different parts of it really helps a lot just when you go into the workshop. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I need to mention for now regarding FreeCAD.
Are we having more of these video workshops in the future, or is this the last one?
No, it's not the last one. This is on the first email I sent 8 sessions. So today I just talked briefly about the 3 main house sections and how to organize the swarm build process. I mean, that's session from November 7th, but November 13th, so we're going to talk about materials next time. So next week, Thursdays and Fridays typically, there's 8 sessions total. So this is the email that I sent. But you can review all the sessions that are in there. So talking about materials, how do you extract materials information, and we talked about it already. Tools and techniques. So there's like 100 different tools and techniques that we use. We'll go over some of that, and the philosophy, just the basics of how we go about building, meaning measuring, marking, and cutting. However, we like to be efficient, and whenever possible, don't measure, don't mark, don't cut, if possible. And we design our build. So, for example, if you've got the one wall module right next to it, you don't have to measure where the second one goes. You're putting the one right next to it. It's like measureless. You don't need to measure. So, I'm going to discuss a bit about that, how you actually go through the build thinking in that way. Then on Friday, actually today I just kind of talked super general, but we'll get into the more nitty gritty of what the build process looks like, the overall build order. I didn't really go through that yet, but we'll go through the build order, build procedures, team formations. We want to do, at one point we actually want to, with the people that are participating, actually start breaking up into different teams so that we can start planning. We're going to cover the plumbing and electrical builds. Then another session, we're going to cover the heat pump, water heaters, induction cooktops, vents, and penetrations. And then the last one is more about the subsystems like photovoltaics, biodigester, thermal battery, electrical. So we're gonna go through a bunch of these, and you're welcome to participate. And we're also going to record them. So there's more coming.
I see a question in the chat here. Is there going to be a Discord server?
Discord server. We haven't set one up. There's actually, if you go to, there is a Discord that some of our people use. There's a page called OSC Social Media. Let me show you where everything is, what all platforms we use. Take a look at this. There is actually a Discord listed in there, so you can feel free to join that. It's right there. Do we have a Discord? Yeah, we do. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? I mean, we can wrap up unless there's any further questions. The one, what I'd like you to do if possible, post pictures. So we have a shared group folder on Google Drive for photos. When you're in the workshop, take pictures and share them all there so that we can use them and use them for documentation later. That's that. OSC Workshops Facebook page, you can see on the OSC social media page. That's also, we post there, so feel free to post pictures throughout the build there as well. And as far as communication channels, I mean, we've got the email that I sent out. I mean, feel free to respond to that.
Oh, here's a question. Is there a cell phone service out in Maysville, like Verizon, AT&T?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, I use my cell phone here. I've got a Verizon.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not too bad. I mean, some parts are spotty, but typically we can get calls here. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll prepare some more, like, we're just kind of shooting more of the general stuff here, nothing specific. But yeah, next week I'll prepare a much more detailed prepared presentation on the build process. So yeah, please join it. And in the meantime, if you have the motivation, just email me or start generating anything that you think might be useful, that if you think it can help other people in a workshop when you're reviewing the CAD and seeing different things. Now for that, it's like, where do we start, right? But at the end of the day, It's like you put one foot in front of the other, and it's all the different steps that, if it's documented, it just helps other people do it faster. Yeah. And about the house itself, it is the 720 square foot. It's a thing that you can use as a starter home, but it builds out into a full high quality home. And the design in there is actually, we did spend some time on doing all the proper desirable features that anyone would like. So if you're actually interested in building, I mean, one for yourself, yes, you can build exactly what we have, or you can modify it as you wish. And then the expanded model, the 1,400 square foot, that's a decent design that we're actually going to be building in commercial builds. So this is a real product that we're actually dealing with. It's a little different than CDECO Home 4, which is the one we just sold in Maysville, which was 2 stories. We went to the single story because just of the ease with which, 2 stories, that gets, heights and falling dangers. So we wanted to keep it to 1 story to make it much easier for people to build it. That's a very deliberate decision. And of course you can add multiple stories to this if you like. It's not limited. But we decided to make it more accessible, just start with the 1 story because it's just so much easier. It's as far as the entire build process.
I have a question. So when we want to design something,
Yep.
that's like a big house, right? Not just 720 square feet. And let's say we want to start with 720, but then we want to add to it, and we have, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 stories. When are we going to learn that? Like, how do we take one seed home and add it to to other ones and know that it's like to code when we're just adding these together? Like, how do we get into that mode of designing a new style by these blocks, so to speak?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a dedicated session on that during the course. So that's a long discussion, but you have to consider usability, so ergonomics and how actually the flow of a house works, so it actually makes sense. It's not like ridiculous and unusable. You have to talk about structure. So how do you make sure that everything is not going to fall down? And third is how do you design the modules themselves to be readily modified? So there's a lot of elements to this kind of a discussion, and it's something we're really developing to make it like the Uber construction set, like Legos. I don't think anyone really thinks like that, because when you're building real structures, that's hard. Anything you're going to build or change is heavy. So you have to do much more thinking about that whole process, but I'll cover that in much more detail during the workshop. And you'll see that, by the way, some of the structures here are built from the CDECO Home 4. There's CDECO Home 1 that we have here. There's CDECO Home 2. There's the workshop structure, and then there's the hangar structure, and they all use this modular build language. So you'll get a much more of a feeling. But just to kind of titillate you a little bit, like, if you think about what is the absolute simplest kind of structure you could do, well, if you use 2x6, 2x6s, then doing a 10-foot wide structure where you're using 2x6s for the roof joists, for the floor, for all the walls, that's actually like the simplest house build system you could ever come up with, because it's got 1 part. It's a 2x6. You can use that for the roof. You can use that for the floor structure and the walls. So yet, given that you're using 2x6s, you can stack this thing still 4 stories high. So imagine, like, if you were, the basic architect, you could just take, okay, now I've got this cube that's, say, 10 by 12, or 10 by 16, or 10 by 20. Build it, and now you can literally stack it one on top of each other, with a low slope roof. So think about, you're just literally think of it as stacking it like Legos. There are some rules you have to follow, like, okay, you still got to make sure that everything is structural. You can't just put things randomly on top of each other. But once you follow some very basic rules, you can do that and literally be your own architect and make sure that the actual structural stuff is also sound. And I'll talk more about that once again in the full course during the course. We'll save that. We'll save the kind of session for later. That's a pretty much more involved discussion. Yeah. Here, like these preliminary sessions, it's more just like the nitty gritty and the technicalities of how we go through the build. So, so that you have the full documentation, like at least access. The main thing is access to the file, that you can do anything with it, so you can see anything that's going to be happening in a build. Okay. Yeah.
On a more fun note, I know the project, the open source Ecology, also does the civilization starter kit stuff, the tractor, the pulverizer, I saw an aquaponic system and all of that. I assume that's probably beyond the scope of the 2 to 3 weeks that we spend on this.
Yeah, it's way beyond the scope. So the thing about that is we've done dozens and dozens of various prototypes. All of that pretty much has either been deconstructed or whatever, or reused or repurposed or whatever happened to it. So not a lot of that. You can't see a lot of that because that's been, we've got an equipment junkyard and things like that. But the point is that the house is the full release, while everything else, like say the 3D printer, we've sold some 3D printers, brick presses. We actually did sell a few tractors, but none of those things are actual commercial grade product releases, right? So no, we're not going to be teaching too much about that, but we are going to do things like, for example, this open source skid steer. Yes, that's a critical machine that will be open sourced soon. So we're actually thinking about a workshop early next year on, for example, the open source skid steer, things like that. But yeah, all those things are to be developed. The compressed earth block press, absolutely, because then you're getting dirt beneath your feet to build your homes, and all of that is coming. Right now, what you're seeing is that which can be used as a real enterprise. All the other stuff is experimental, and we've built a lot of stuff with it. We used it a lot, and that's how we got to this point. But as far as the product release, yes, that's all coming, and in fact, with the bootstrap funding from the CDCO home sales, right? Our goal is still to get that all out within about 4 years, 2028. So that's a very ambitious thing. This is why we're starting the apprenticeship, and we're talking about trying to recruit people in mass to actually make it happen, because we need a lot of bodies to make that happen. It's not easy. Like each project costs like $1 million of development effort. So, yep, that's all coming. Yeah. So I think go ahead.
No, I was just saying that sounds really cool. Very, very neat.
Yeah. No, we're just getting started. That's the thing. I mean, basically at this point we're at a place where we have a full product release now. That now we can get going because we can bootstrap fund. The funding is not an issue anymore. We can support people. So now we need to build infrastructure and get the people on board. So that's where we are. But yeah, very exciting time. So yeah, let's quit it at that. So next meeting will be next Thursday. Once again, same time, 7 p.m. And we're going to continue the preparation and with a more prepared discussion on the build process. Okay. So thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll see you. Okay.
Thank you, Marcin.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.